Hello, everyone. I hope you all are doing well. In part one, we discussed Mr. Akshay's career journey, the opportunities he had when he started, the challenges he faced being someone who's passionate about the automobile industry, but is also making a positive impact in this world. If you haven't watched the episode, please check the link in the description. In part two, we will learn about how a typical workday looks like for an entrepreneur, for Mr. Akshay as a managing director of a leading firm. We will learn about the latest trend in the automobile industry and words of motivation from Mr. Akshay. So, lots and lots of value in it for you all. So, let's get right into it. From it. Now, moving on to the next segment of the interview, it would be great to know if you can walk us through how does your typical work day look like?
Wow, my work day. So yeah, another point for an entrepreneur. Okay, you have multitasking is the first skill set that you have, and you have to believe that you have it. Okay, every human I feel has is just that some suppress it and some actually accept it and work toward or hone that skill. You have to multitask. So while I aspire that I've created an organization where I have different verticals and I have heads in every vertical, and everything is working on a auto run, autopilot mode. That really doesn't. That's not yet. I've not achieved that, and I should not say that doesn't happen, but it's a tough feat to achieve. So yeah. So when my work days, apart from my morning routine, is once I get into office, it's the initial bit of looking at your emails. So I have, for me, like I said, because this work is also my passion, I need to know everything that's going on in my company. And I don't take it as an excuse that, oh, I didn't know. And I'm also answerable because I still have my father, and, although he's running a separate company by himself, and he's also got a great journey because post the split, he also started a company of his own, and he's done fantastically well. And we both discuss, we both actually even report to each other,
Wow.
on what we're doing. Though we don't interfere in each other's operations, but he's still a mentor for me, and I still go to him for a lot of advice. So our typical workday is, getting a preview of what's happening in different departments. May it be my quality control department. That's my most interesting department because I take keen interest in my quality control. I get daily reports from them as to which vendors performing in which manner, what are the new improvements that we've made. I've been fortunate to have a reasonably good sales force, a sales team. We speak all languages: French, Arabic, Spanish, Russian.
Wow.
Not me. I've learned Spanish, good enough to negotiate and crack a deal, but not socially that
That's a great
that
feat.
good. And yeah, and so yeah. In fact, the story of me learning Spanish also is interesting because we wanted to get into South America. We wanted to start doing business there, and I realized that over there it's purely Spanish, and I didn't want to really be fully dependent on someone else. I knew that there's somewhere down the line where I would have to get a knack, a pulse of the language, and that's something which I take also keen interest in. So not only Spanish, even French, little bit of Arabic, little bit of Vietnamese, etc. Just I seek familiarity in words that are used in my business, and I feel that's very important. So you have to have the ability to adapt. Where you go, you have to learn to blend in. You have to learn to adapt. So these are another set of skills that I've worked on, and I continue to work on. Wherever I go, because my aim is to make A-Track a globally recognized brand. And when I say global, I'm not restricting to any particular geography. It's the whole Middle East, it's Africa, it's Far East, it's South America, all these places. So you have to learn to adapt, to all kinds of places. But yeah, so coming back to, my daily routine, it's more or less this. typically through the day till about 6:30, it's a bit of firefighting, as I would term it, because you're coordinating with every department and doing, so you're not really putting in your time to think on strategizing, on doing it. So work kind of goes on in that way, but the real work starts post 6:30, 7 p.m. till I would say next morning 7 p.m. because that's when my mind is working.
Wow.
And not my body, and so that's when my mind actually goes on overdrive on analyzing what happened, which opportunities were missed, why did we miss those, how do we strengthen ourselves so that the next time we're in a better position to bag that opportunity, what are the improvements we need to make in our work, in our company, in our organization. A lot of that happens actually on my way when I'm driving back home, or in the night before going to sleep, or sometime in the morning when you wake up. And I learned this from my grandfather, my Nana. He used to keep a diary with him, and I used to wonder what he writes, in those diaries. So I actually, kind of emulated or copied him, and I started keeping a diary with me full time. And I used to keep making notes because many times, you don't realize, an idea comes and you think, wow, it's a damn good idea. And the next day when you reach office, you forget what it was. Okay. And I don't know if this happens with others, but this happens with me very often. So I started keeping a diary, and till I figured out the app in my phone, and I've got this now Google Notes where I keep any thought or any idea that comes to me. I keep penning them down, and I actually was lucky to find a pretty good EA who works with me, my assistant, and so she actually shadows me in most of my work, and she's my key implementer. So now whatever ideas I get, whatever I do, I keep messaging her. I've given her a disclaimer that please, I don't expect you to reply to my messages in non-working hours, but it's just a way for me to throw the message out, and I know that the next day morning she'll come back to me and tell me that, Akshay, you know what, let's see how we can implement this. So for me, a working day is not 10 to 6. 10 to 6 is just, for me, firefighting. But work is 24/7, and that's because you're self-employed. Maybe it's even for other professionals. I'm no one to comment because I don't know. But in my case, we work 24/7. Like, I remember having this conversation with one of our lawyers, and they work really hard, and they were working till 10, 11, 12 in the night. And I was like, guys, you guys work really hard. He's like, Akshay, if you compare us to an entrepreneur, okay, an entrepreneur is working 24 hours. We're just working, on particular projects, but we're working for someone else. So if you're an entrepreneur, get ready to work 24 hours. You cannot say, I'm tired, I'm burnt out, I've got too many things, what do I do? No, these things don't happen. You've got to, everything is part of the deal. Burnout is part of the deal. You will have to have times where you have to compromise on family time. You'll have to compromise on, your time with your children. But like I said, you got to keep the bigger picture in mind. And of course, I'm not saying you got to be a maniac and, just work, but you got to find that right balance.
Absolutely. So, that's a wonderful tip for...
So being an entrepreneur is... being an entrepreneur is a very wholesome journey. It's not like, just one aspect. It's an absolute wholesome journey.
Thank you for giving the real view. It should be an eye-opener for all those people watching us out there, because, what one imagines versus what it really is, that's what Industry Inspire Talks is all about, is bringing in those real industry experiences. But also what you mentioned and what's evident from your share is that you'll only become an entrepreneur when you have a passion like that, when you're really willing to give all that it takes to make that business a successful one. But Mr. Gupta, does it ever get overwhelming for you with all those things, the firefighting and everything going on? Does it ever get to a point that it's overwhelming? And how do you manage that if it happens?
No, it does. But like I said, I have two people sitting with a whip always, my wife and my father. So they bring me down to reality within seconds. Okay. And another very important influence in my life is my mother. So she, it's a funny thing. So as my father was always, a disciplinarian and, this and that, it's even my mother, So whenever I feel I've done too much, so she always, ever since I was a kid, and it's only till now that I figured out. I figured out it was a trick all my life. When I was in school, she's saying, "Abhi to tere kaam karne ke din, abhi to tere padhne ke din hai." So she would keep saying that these are your days of hard work, these are days of studies. Then when I started work, she's saying, "Abhi to tere kaam karne ke din hai. Aage jaake dekhna." So I was like, "Mom, you'll have fun later in life. You focus now. Now these are your days of work. These are your days of study." And I was like, "Mom, when will those days of fun come?" So now she tells me, "These are your fun days. You have to find fun in your work. You have to find fun." I was like, "Mom, all this time you kept telling me कि अभी तेरे काम करने के दिन है, अभी तेरे पढ़ने के दिन है, आगे जाके मजा करियो." I said, "I'm already 36 or 37 now in next month." I said, "Mom, when do you want me to start enjoying life?" She says, "No, you have to enjoy in this." So when you ask me about getting overwhelmed and all, there is no such thing of getting overwhelmed. You got to just find fun in it. You got to take it. Like I said, of course, I won't lie. There are days when I get overly consumed. I get sometimes when you're too passionate about something, you tend to go overboard on it, and then you get reality checks at time and again, and you got to keep pinching yourself. So another important thing which I feel which helps you keep in check is you should have alternate hobbies. So for me, golf is a very big hobby. Like I love playing golf. I'm a hobby golfer, but I still enjoy playing golf. I love exercising. I've recently developed a lot of love for gardening. I like to have fish as pets. So I have some of these alternate. I was never a big reader. The maximum reading I did in this. So I started a little bit reading, and nothing to boast about, but a little bit here and there. I like to read biographies and autobiographies of various leaders and various inspirational people, even sportsmen. I recently read about Nadal's autobiography. I was super inspiring. So you got to have certain hobbies to keep you in check. And so whenever you feel you're getting overly involved in your business, just ask yourself, are you even devoting time to your other things? And if you see that you're not doing it, means there's somewhere where it's actually creating a pressure cooker where some point it will burst. So I feel hobbies, I feel a lot of these things are self-correcting mechanisms. So whenever you feel you've really gone in the overdrive, visit them. You'll get an idea as to what you're doing. Another thing which I'll be honest to accept it is I was a victim of my over ambition. Like what happens is when you go do your engineering, you do your MBA, you get overly ambitious. You feel, I'm going to do this and I'm going to create this and I'm going to do this. And then you start putting pressure on yourself because you can't really live up to it, and you start building, it's all built in your own head, as time goes. So as you age, as time goes by, you start realizing your ambitions start becoming a little more realistic. I'm not saying don't dream big. Of course, dream big, but just dream a little realistic. Try, or even if you're dreaming big, don't let it consume you. My only point is that, and that's something that happened to me a lot. Like it started consuming me. It started, playing on my mind 24/7. It started affecting my sleep. It started affecting this and that. And then I was like, no, that's not the kind of. What's the point of that? What's the point? You got to, like I said, you have to find that balance. So the way to find those balances is create hobbies, build good relations with people, have friends. Another important thing is you got to have friends. You got to give your friends time. Don't take them for granted. Okay. You have children, you have parents. So you got to even devote time to these things. You can't be running behind your passion and your work all the time. Absolutely. And if you're able to maintain this balance, I feel you won't really hit those overwhelming points. You won't really hit those peaks. And, in work, you are going to have challenges. These are good challenges. If you don't have this, then what's the point? You need to have challenges.
Absolutely. I love your mindset towards it, that, challenges are to help us grow. And
of course.
And what you mentioned, it's about building those meaningful relationships. It's about a very important point that you brought about, but a lot of people do miss, is having those hobbies and giving time to it. Because as a coach, I work with a lot of people who have lost connection with themselves, and they don't say that I'm doing everything. No, but you've lost touch of what you enjoy the most. how do you think you
True.
will be able to connect with who you are and what you want to do further? So giving time for your hobbies, having hobbies, and then giving time, devoting time towards it, is taking care of you, which is also required as while you take care of everyone around you. So thank you for sharing that very important point.
No, and you'll realize over a period of time that's your go, because many times we don't know how to switch off. I'm telling you, as an entrepreneur, your mind is working 24/7. I was able to find out that when I'm playing golf, for some reason, my mind is completely blank. I don't think of anything. So those 4 or 5 hours is pure me with myself. Okay. And fortunately, my partner, my wife also acknowledges that, and she doesn't really, crib about it or anything of that. Sometimes that half an hour workout that I do in the morning, I'm completely blank. I just break out into a mad sweat. That's a very, these are all, natural resetting mechanisms in your mind, which you need.
Yeah.
These are natural resets in your mind, which you need it. So I would strongly encourage everyone, find something that, you're happy. I mean, that's your go-to place.
Yeah, it brings you. It's very important to stay in touch with that joy, to be that source of joy for everyone else. All right. So now, with those lovely shares again, what would you say are the trends in the automobile industry to watch out in 2021?
Well, the biggest trend and the biggest threat is electric engines and electric transport. That's the big threat. I do think about it. And I'll be honest, I haven't really been able to come up with a plan. Although I feel our business of diesel engine parts and petrol parts is there's still a lot of gas in it. I mean, it's still going to push along for a good number of years. But yes, I am constantly working on I'm trying to identify opportunities in the whole electric transformation, because I don't want to be caught sleeping, but it's not as easy. It's not as easy. I haven't really found anything yet, but yes, my eyes, ears, everything are open, and we will be working towards creating a product line for electronic vehicles. That has been a trend. Another trend is also on clean engines. So where they're improving the efficiency, lower consumption of fuel, and which are actually pretty helpful for guys like us, because one way we differentiate ourselves from a lot of the crowd that we compete against is we focus a lot on the product material, the dimensional accuracy, and the manufacturing process. So we don't compromise on that just because we got to compete with someone else. So a thing that I tell all my salespeople is you can't penalize the customer for underselling. So no matter what price my salesperson sells the product at, I have to still maintain the same process that I do for a high value customer or low value. So we don't differentiate between a high value or low value customer when it comes to executing. So these things, this shift of people really valuing manufacturers or companies which put in a lot of their effort or work towards this may come in. It is coming in our favor. So in fact, that has also been one of the contributing factors to ATRAC's growth, because one parameter which we like to use at ATRAC is repeat business. We value repeat business far more than new businesses. And the fact that once a repeat customer comes, it kind of, that's the best quality certificate you could have. You have your regular quality certificates and, certifications, but a customer coming back to you time and again is the best validation of this. So the trend of, electronic, the trend of clean energy is there, and even alternate energy. So like, for example, one line of business which we were pretty strong at back in the day, and now it's obsolete, is stationary diesel engines. They were used to earlier power pumps, in the fields, etc., which have now been replaced by electronic motors. So this is just to give you a hint, so that segment is kind of fizzled out. The next segment, which is on its way of fizzling out is the automobile segment. And then there are tractors and trucks, which are actually more demanding. So I think it's going to take some more time for these things to fizzle out.
Sure.
But yeah, so we will play it as it comes. I mean, we're not sleeping. We're keeping our eyes open. Yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing that, because our young professionals who are just entering into this industry now need to know that what the focus area could be or would be, and they can streamline their efforts toward it. So, talking about young professional, what would be your advice for someone who's entering the automobile industry now?
Well, entering the automobile industry, see, automobile is an evergreen industry. Okay. That's the good part of it. It's not a fad industry, or you may have an automobile industry in itself has so many opportunities. There's a genuine parts segment, there's an aftermarket segment, there are complete vehicles that you deal in. So it's a very diverse, it's like a whole universe by itself. So I would say definitely you should be part of this industry, and like I said, it's an evergreen industry. There's money to make, like I always say, if you're, this. And there are a lot of opportunities. India is, of course, as time has gone by, is now being globally accepted by a lot. So that was one of the initial challenges that we used to face, where people were not comfortable working with an Indian company. But thanks to stalwarts like Tata's, Mahindra's, all of them who really made or contributed to, strengthening the brand value of India and Indian products. I would say the automobile industry in India is not limited to India. It's actually the whole world. So there's so much to do in this. And I would tell everyone that, if you find, something that interests you, pursue it. And, India is the place to be for automobile.
Wonderful. Wonderful. That's really motivating.
Yeah.
And what would your final words of motivation be for all our, the student community or those who are just stepping into their career path?
Well, like I said, I've been saying it throughout the interview. You got to strike a balance. Everything needs to be balanced. Don't get overly obsessed by any one particular thing. Passion is important, but passion backed with discipline. Okay, passion backed with longevity. Longevity is also very important. Just being passionate is not enough. You have to have the discipline. You have to have a mindset. You have to have a plan in place. So you got to look at everything, collectively. There's not any one thing that I can tell you that you got to do. And while you do all of that, don't forget to take care of yourself. Take care of yourself, through your hobbies, through your relationships, and even through your own mental health, So I would tell any entrepreneur, look at it as an overall package. There's no one thing as such that I can tell you, and enjoy the ride. There are going to be ups, there are going to be downs. One saying I remember, it's a very old saying, but it's always stuck onto me: when the going gets tough, the tough gets going. So believe in yourself. It's not always going to be a smooth ride, but the guys who are able to pull through tough times are the guys, who make it in the long run. So, and always have, whatever you do, it should be long term. I don't believe in short term, anything of short term. It should be long term. There should be commitment, like I said, to it. And you will enjoy your journey.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Mr. Gupta, for your time today and sharing your, truthfully sharing, honestly sharing the real journey and the experiences that you've had. I'm sure all of our viewers watching would get heaps of value from it. So thank you so much. We really appreciate you coming.
Well, I hope so. I mean, I'm more than happy. I hope I'm not preaching too much. I was just trying to share whatever experiences I had. And I wish I can add to, anything. And I'm always open to learning. So Vandana, even, I've been following your links and all, and you're doing a great job at it. And keep doing what you're doing, because it inspires people like us as well. And, I'm on this journey of learning till eternity. So I want to keep learning. And that's about it.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. And
Thank you.
For all of you, please feel free to get in touch with Mr. Gupta if you have any questions. And we'll keep in touch. That brings us to the end of this part. If you are watching the video and took heaps of value from it, please hit the like button. We'll also share Mr. Akshay Gupta's details in the description box. So feel free to get in touch with him if you have any questions regarding the automobile industry. We'll see you all in the next episode of our podcast series with Industry Inspired Talks, where we will have another inspiring journey, another inspiring story, and share real life experiences to help you move forward in your career. Wish you all the very best. Thank you.